So we've imported all our Illustrator graphics and assets into After Effects. And we have these different compositions pertaining to each of these separate keyframes. And you can see I've got them opened up here. We imported those in the last video. And but we haven't created a master composition, a composition in which all these other assets are going to be brought into. And so let's do that right now. I'm going to go up to the composition drop down menu, and I'm going to select new composition. And it has the 720 by 480 dimension that we need. Let's make sure that we have square pixels selected. Again, there's a difference between the pixels that we see on our computer screens as opposed to those that we see on television screens. And so let's make sure those are square so everything remains perfectly aligned and in the right proportion. I have a duration of 10 seconds and 0 frames on my timeline right now. We're going to change that in just a moment, but let's just leave it at that. I currently have this background color set to orange. That won't really matter because do have background graphics that we're going to sit over top of that. So the one thing I want to do here though is I want to change the name of this to either Dude Master or Dude Main. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to say Dude Main, and I'm going to say OK. And that creates this new composition right here, and it's currently has no layers associated with it. And there's one, let's do one more thing. Just as a way of getting around After Effects, we can place our cursor between any of these panes here. Now, we haven't really gone into detail about how to work with these panes. There's all sorts of functionality that we can play with and customize. But the one thing I want to do right now is I'm going to reduce the timeline panel just by dragging down with that little graphic there, and just so that I can see a bit more of my my project panel over here, because I want to clean this up a little bit. Currently I have 5 compositions and 5 folders, each related to those compositions. I'm going to create a new folder by clicking down here in the bottom left of this project panel and create a new folder. And what I'm going to name that is Illustrator Assets. And this is always a good idea to make sure that things are organized, and this is a good way to organize this sort of project. So I now have all my Illustrator assets in a folder called Illustrator Assets. Now, there's one more thing that we really need to do. Since this is going to be a typographic animation linked up to an audio clip, let's import that audio clip. I'm going to go to the File drop-down menu, select Import, select File, and I'm going to navigate to the Dude 2012 folder, and I'm going to choose, there it is, dude.mp3. I'm going to say open. Now, After Effects imports all different types of audio files just fine. MP3 it will work just great. Now you can see Dude has been placed into my project panel over here, but I still need to bring it into my Dude main composition. So let's do that. I'm going to just drag it down, and there we go. Now what we see over here, this green associated with this layer, this color green is associated with any audio layers that you bring in. Different types of layers have different color indicators in their layer indicators here, but you can see this one is green, and currently we can see that it is almost 6 seconds long. It's not quite 6 seconds, but our timeline is set to 10 seconds. Well, that's more timeline than we need, so let's trim that. In fact, we can trim that just by hovering over top of this yellow marker here right at the top of our layer indicators. It's called our work area, and there's a corresponding one at the work area start, but this one's called work area end. And if I just hover over top of that yellow and click and drag, I can trim my work area to exactly the length of this audio clip, which is exactly what I'm going to do right about there. And what that does is when I play back if I'm testing my animations, it will only play this area, the work area here. And in fact, I can trim this entire timeline to just that work area. If I go up to the composition drop-down menu and select Trim Comp to Work Area, you can see now my timeline is strictly the length of that audio clip. So let's start bringing in some of our graphic assets. Now, the first keyframe, Dude 01, I'm going to again increase the size of this so we can see all the layers. I would like to bring in every single one of these layers, including the dot pattern vector Paco 3 layer and the background. I'm just going to select the top one, hold down my shift button, select the background, and all the layers in between are now selected. And all I need to do is copy these. I'm going to go Command C, go back to my dude main composition, and Command V for paste. And there we go. We have all those layers associated now into our dude main composition. Now, there's one thing I like to do is I like to keep my audio clip at the top of my layer stack. So I'm just going to bring up that. That's just a housekeeping sort of thing. In our next video, we're going to start syncing up our animation with our audio clip.